beam of cosmic lightning is being shot out of a black hole, and it's being aimed at Earth. And on Earth, a weird blobby creature has arrived, and it's eating people and sending them back along the beam of light. First, it eats a, shall we say, rural gentleman called Mr. 𝗗𝗺cie. And then it eats Dr. Tyler, a scientist at unit headquarters, before disappearing down a plug hole. The blob creature seems to be looking for the doctor, though. The Doctor has no idea how to deal with this blob creature problem, so he decides to call the Time Lords for help. The Time Lords are having problems of their own, though. Something is draining away all of their energy, which is very bad, and not just for the Time Lords.
Unless the energy loss is stopped, the whole fabric of space-time will be destroyed.
Back on Earth, jelly blob creatures start appearing out of nowhere and attack Unit HQ. So the Doctor hides in the TARDIS with Jo and Sergeant Benton.
Well, Sergeant, aren't you going to say that it's bigger on the inside than it is on the outside? Everybody else does.
It's pretty obvious, isn't it?
The Time Lords are powerless to help themselves, figuratively and literally.
We shall lose our time travel facility and become as vulnerable as those we are pledged to protect.
But they can help the Doctor, so they violate the first rule of time and send the Doctor's previous incarnations to help him.
I was wondering where that had got to. Oh, I can see you've been doing the TARDIS up a bit. I don't like it.
The first Doctor is trapped in a time eddy, though, so he can only advise the other two from the scanner screen.
Oh, so you're my replacements. A dandy and a clown.
Which is just as well, really, because the second and third Doctors seem to do nothing but argue.
Well, you've been fiddling with it, haven't you?
It was perfectly all right until you touched it. Now, if only you'd leave things to me.
If we were to leave things to you, my dear fellow, we'd be in a fine pickle, wouldn't we?
Although they can communicate telepathically to share information.
Contact.
Contact.
The first Doctor realises that the blobby monster, which is not to be confused with the jelly monsters, is actually a bridge. And what do you do with a bridge?
Stop dilly-dallying and crush it.
So the third Doctor and Jo allow themselves to be eaten, and they are transported through a black hole and into a universe made of antimatter. Meanwhile, the second Doctor builds a machine to stop the blob monster from eating anyone else.
Keep it confused. Feed it with useless information. I wonder if I have a television set handy.
Why do I feel personally attacked by that? Because the blob's made of antimatter, though, it responds in the opposite way, and instead of getting confused, it actually gets more aggressive, and it eventually eats the whole of unit headquarters, including the TARDIS.
I'm fairly sure that's chroma.
The third Doctor and Jo find Dr. Tyler wandering around in the antimatter universe, so maybe this story should be called The Four Doctors. Well, 3.5 Doctors technically, since the first Doctor is stuck in a triangle. But they get captured by some shooty jelly monsters. And taken to their leader, Omega.
Omega? That's impossible. Omega was destroyed.
No, brother Time Lord. I was not destroyed. As you can see.
Omega was the one who gave the Time Lords their ability to travel in time, but in doing so, he got himself trapped in the antimatter universe.
My brothers became Time Lords, but I was abandoned and forgotten.
No, not forgotten. All my life I've known of you and honored you as our greatest hero.
A hero? I should have been a god!
Omega has created everything in this antimatter universe by the sheer force of his willpower. He created everything here with the power of his mind. That does beg the question, though. If you could create anything you wanted, why would you create henchmen that look like bubbly dog turds? 𝗚 blames the Time Lords for getting stuck here, so he wants to go back to the normal universe and basically destroy everything. But 𝗚 is stuck in a catch-22 situation. He can't leave because his universe would cease to exist if he leaves, and you can't leave a universe that doesn't exist.
So, the moment you abandon control, you cannot escape. And you cannot escape without abandoning control.
Exactly.
𝗚's plan all along was to kidnap the Doctor so that the Doctor could replace him as ruler of this universe, which would allow him to escape. The Doctor tries to refuse, but 𝗚's mind is too powerful, and he manifests a sort of goblin ninja to kick the Doctor's butt. Or whatever it's doing to him here. The Doctor has no choice but to agree to 𝗚's demands, but when they try to remove 𝗚's helmet, they discover that 𝗚 no longer exists.
You exist only because your will insists that you exist. And your will is all that is left of you.
𝗚 has been stuck here for so long that his body has corroded away. All that is left of 𝗚 is his will. Realizing that he can never leave this place, 𝗚 now decides that he wants the Doctor to stay with him here forever, to keep him company in his eternal prison. So he locks the Doctors up, but the Doctors have a strong enough combined will to open the door of their jail cell, and with a bit of help from the Brigadier, everybody escapes back to the TARDIS.
Let's go berserk out there.
Yes, it is, isn't it?
All right, now we're in here. What do we do?
Well, we have a think. Careful, jelly baby.
That's not your line. The Doctors decide on a risky plan that involves getting 𝗚 to touch the TARDIS force field. They never actually share the full details of that plan, though, because they come up with a better plan after finding the second Doctor's missing recorder.
My recorder! It must have been there all the time, right in the core of the force field.
Because the recorder conveniently fell inside the force field generator, it didn't get converted to antimatter when they entered this universe. If 𝗚 were to come into contact with the non-antimatter recorder, the matter recorder if you like, it would destroy him, even though he doesn't have a body to destroy technically, but whatever. The Doctor agrees to stay with 𝗚, as long as 𝗚 lets everyone else go back home by stepping through this smoky portal. And once everyone else is safely back on Earth, the Doctors offer 𝗚 his freedom.
What is this childish contraption?
The only freedom you can ever have. Take it.
𝗚 is angered by this, and he smashes the force field generator, causing the recorder to come into contact with the antimatter universe. 𝗚's universe is destroyed, and the black hole is converted into a supernova, which the Time Lords can use as a new power supply. The TARDIS takes the Doctors back to Earth, and they say their goodbyes.
Goodbye. It's been so nice to meet me.
Yes, I see what you mean. I hope I don't meet me again.
And as a thank you to the Doctor for saving them, the Time Lords restore the Doctor's knowledge of time travel. And they send him a new dematerialization circuit, finally ending his exile to Earth.
They've forgiven me. They've given me back my freedom.
The Doctor uses his newfound freedom to take Jo to the blue planet 𝗵𝗫3. Although he doesn't actually get to 𝗵𝗫3. Instead, he lands on a 1920s cargo ship in the middle of the ocean.
And you ought to have an outlet for that police box of yours. You don't even know where you're going in it.
The cargo ship isn't quite what it seems, though. The crew seem to be stuck in a time loop, repeating the same day over and over again.
Here we go again.
What?
Nothing.
There's a mysterious hatch in the floor that the crew can't see. Oh, and there's also a dinosaur attacking them.
What the deuce is it?
All this weirdness is actually because the ship is inside a miniscope. This machine is like a miniature zoo, and it contains miniaturized creatures kidnapped from all over the universe. The miniscope's owners, 𝗏 and 𝗀𝘀𝗃, travel around the universe entertaining people with the miniscope.
Our purpose is to amuse. Simply to amuse. Nothing serious, nothing political.
You understand?
No.
Because apparently people in this galaxy enjoy just watching things on screens all day instead of doing things themselves. Wait, what?
And outside there are people and creatures just looking at us for kicks.
Very probably.
They must be evil and horrible.
Wait, is she talking about you and me? 𝗏 and 𝗀𝘀𝗃 have brought their reality TV show machine to the awkwardly named planet 𝗃𝗃𝗰𝗀. On 𝗃𝗃𝗰𝗀 there is a clear social hierarchy with two castes, an upper ruling class and a worker class, and if the workers try to ascend to a higher level, well... Now I know what you're thinking, the Doctor is going to free the oppressed workers, right? No, actually it's never really brought up again. To make the miniature reality TV shows even more exciting, 𝗏 can increase the aggression levels of the creatures trapped inside the miniscope.
Queensberry rules, naturally.
I wonder what other emotions he can dial up for a more entertaining peep show. 𝗏 thinks that the TARDIS is a bit of junk that's fallen inside the machine, so he removes it and it grows back to full size. The Doctor realises he's been miniaturised and put into a machine, so he escapes through the mysterious hatch and into the circuitry inside the miniscope.
It's like walking around inside a wristwatch.
Apparently, miniscopes were banned by the Time Lords at the Doctor's request, but this one escaped the recall.
I managed to persuade the High Council of the Time Lords they were an offence against the dignity of sentient life forms.
But I thought the Time Lords never interfered.
It's well, they don't as a rule. But frankly, I made such a nuisance of myself that... well, they banned the things.
Searching for a way out, the Doctor and Jo wander into the 𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗀𝘃 compound. The 𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃s are vicious, giant worm-like creatures. Even though Jo gets stuck in a marshy bog, the Doctor manages to escape by igniting swamp gas with his sonic screwdriver. Despite being able to watch all this excitement in real time, the locals on 𝗃𝗃𝗰𝗀 are not impressed with the miniscope.
No good can come from fraternizing with these inferior races.
In fact, they're a bit paranoid, and they think that foreigners are going to arrive and ruin their society. 𝗏 tries to get them to let him stay by bribing the 𝗃𝗃𝗰𝗀 officials with a cassette tape, which they seem weirdly pleased with. Joke's on them though, it's probably a copy of Jon Pertwee's greatest hits.
Oh, what fun! Oh, what sport! I'm the very first doodle not, travelling up at a furious pace. That man on the moon, watch his face when I doodle.
Amazing.
An official called 𝗃𝗃𝗃 decides that the creatures inside the miniscope have been brought here illegally, so he decides to destroy it with the Eradicator. Either the miniscope is super tough, or the Eradicator is a terrible gun though, because it actually does nothing but heat it up.
Come on, Jo, get up.
Not yet, I'm only half cooked.
The 𝗃𝗃𝗃s have got the Doctor and Jo's scent now though, and they burst out of their environment into the machine's circuitry. The Doctor and Jo go back to the 1920s ship environment to escape the 𝗃𝗃𝗃s, and the crew are able to fight them off. Now, 𝗃𝗃𝗃 is not happy with the government on 𝗃𝗃𝗰𝗀 letting all these aliens onto the planet, so he wants to start a revolution and overthrow the president.
What we all need
is something to unite us. We need a sense of purpose. We need a new leader. We need a war.
After seeing the deadly 𝗃𝗃𝗀𝘁𝗃, 𝗃𝗃 sees his opportunity to show people how dangerous aliens are, so he decides to let the 𝗃𝗃𝗀𝗁𝗃 out of the miniscope, and he sabotages the Eradicator gun so they can't fight off the 𝗃𝗃𝗀𝗁𝗃.
One has sabotaged the Eradicator in order to leave the city defenseless? Precisely. The bigger the disaster, the better for us.
Presumably this planet only has one Eradicator gun. The Doctor and Joe get separated on the ship, but the Doctor eventually finds his way out of the miniscope. The 𝗃𝗃𝗀𝗁𝗃 have really chewed up the insides of the miniscope though, and the power unit is failing, which will kill everyone inside. The Doctor uses parts from the TARDIS to build a machine that can get him in and out of the miniscope, and he heads back in to save Joe. Whilst the Doctor's inside though, 𝗃𝗃𝗀𝗁𝗃 allows the 𝗃𝗃𝗀𝗁𝗃s to escape from the miniscope. But luckily, 𝗃 just happens to have with him the right part to fix the sabotaged Eradicator gun, so he's able to fight off the 𝗃𝗃𝗀𝗁𝗃s. The Doctor finds Joe, and 𝗃 is able to pull them out of the miniscope. The Doctor's machine also returns all the creatures from the miniscope back to their original places in space and time, just as the miniscope power supply runs out and shuts down for good.
Well, that's it then.
𝗃 sets himself up with a new gig scamming people out of their credit bars. And the Doctor and Joe slip away back to the TARDIS. In the 26th century, a peace treaty exists between the two interplanetary empires of Earth and Draconia. The TARDIS almost crashes into an Earth Empire cargo ship whilst travelling through space, but the Doctor avoids the collision by materialising inside the cargo ship.
Only you could manage to have a traffic accident in space.
The cargo ship gets attacked by 𝗚grons though, but the 𝗚grons have got a machine that causes people to hallucinate and see the thing that they fear the most.
Fear breeds hatred, Your Majesty. Fear is the greatest enemy of them all, for fear leads us to war.
The crew of the spaceship see the 𝗚gron attackers as Draconians, and Joe sees a 𝗃𝗃𝗀𝗁𝗃. I wonder what would happen if they were afraid of clowns instead. The 𝗚grons steal the ship's cargo, including the TARDIS, but they leave everyone alive to blame it on the Draconians.
Well, now the 𝗚grons have gone, why don't the crewmen remember what really happened?
Because the true facts have been erased from their minds, that's why.
The 𝗚grons are trying to start an interstellar war between the Earth and Draconian empires. The 𝗚grons have been attacking Earth ships and Draconian ships, using their hypnotising machine each time to frame the other empire.
We are not attacking Draconian ships. We never have.
Our soldiers have seen the Earthmen attack us. Our cargoes have been stolen. We are Draconians. We do not lie.
The Doctor and Joe decide they need to find out who is really behind the 𝗚gron attacks so that they can prevent an interstellar war, and to find out who took the TARDIS. I mean, the 𝗚grons couldn't have come up with a plan to start a galactic war themselves, could they?
The 𝗚grons have got the finest defense mechanism of all, stupidity.
But they don't really get very far with their investigation because the Doctor and Joe spend most of this story getting captured. First, they get captured by humans on the cargo ship. They escape from their cell using the sonic screwdriver, but it doesn't go well, and they get captured again by soldiers from Earth. They get taken to Earth and brought to the President of the whole Earth, I think, and she thinks that the Draconians have broken their peace treaty by attacking their cargo ships. The humans think the Doctor and Joe are Draconian spies, so they put the Doctor in a mind probe machine, which breaks when the Doctor tells the truth, which makes it a pretty rubbish mind probe, actually.
The truth, man. I want the truth.
I'm telling you.
I will get the truth.
After the probing, the Ogrons break into the jail and the Doctor and Joe get captured again. But the human security forces fight off the Ogrons and recapture the Doctor and Joe. The Draconian ambassador on Earth thinks that the humans have been attacking their cargo ships. Of course, it was really the Ogrons making themselves look like humans. The Draconian ambassador thinks the Doctor and Joe are Earth agents who are pretending to be Draconian spies to make the Draconians look guilty. So the Draconian ambassador implements a plan so stupid even an Ogron would be embarrassed by it. The Draconian ambassador asks the human president if he can speak to the Doctor himself, and the president agrees to send the Doctor to the ambassador. But whilst the Doctor is being taken to the ambassador, the Draconians attack the Doctor's armed escort. Now, considering that the Draconians are trying to convince the humans that they haven't broken the peace treaty, killing humans in the street and kidnapping prisoners who were on their way to see you anyway is a truly stupid piece of writing. A truly stupid decision by the Draconian ambassador. Anyway, Joe gets recaptured by the humans, and the Doctor gets captured by the Draconians. He escapes, though, by rolling backwards off a chair, beating up some guards, and jumping into a bush. It doesn't go well, though, and he gets captured by the humans again. The humans decide to send the Doctor to a prison on the moon, where he meets several rebels who are in jail because they tried to overthrow the government in the name of preserving peace.
Well, I mean, criticize the government and you're for it, aren't you?
Naturally, the Doctor tries to escape from the moon, but it doesn't go well, and he ends up getting captured again by the prison guards. Joe is kept on Earth for more interrogation, but a police commissioner from the Sirius 4 colony arrives.
Madam President, this is indeed a great honor.
The Master has created a fake criminal record for Joe and the Doctor so that he can capture them himself. The Master puts them both on a spaceship and sets course for his base on the Ogron homeworld.
You know, I'd very much like to know why...
Why you've been locked up?
No. Why I'm still alive.
Oh, no. Your health is very precious to me. For the moment. You see, my employers are most interested in you.
The Ogrons?
Miss Grant, please, I employ them.
The Doctor tries to escape by cutting through the bars on his jail cell and then performing a spacewalk to get to the ship's bridge. It doesn't go well, though, because the ship changes course, which sends the Doctor flying off into space. But he uses his air supply to get back to the ship. The Doctor tries to take control of the ship, but that doesn't go well either, because the Draconians attack the ship, capture everyone, and take them all to the Draconian Emperor. The Doctor's been to Draconia before, hundreds of years ago.
My life at your command, sire.
So the Draconians listen to what the Doctor has to say, and they treat him with respect.
This man is plotting a war between Earth and Draconia.
Joe, not so much.
Silence! Females are not permitted to speak in the presence of the Emperor.
The Master tries to talk his way out of the situation.
Nobody could be more devoted to the cause of peace than I. As a commissioner of Earth's interplanetary police, I have devoted my life to the cause of law and order. And law and order can only exist in a time of peace.
You feeling all right, old chap?
But the Master's Ogron servants attack the Draconian throne room, whilst pretending to be humans, of course, and they successfully rescue their Master, the Master. One of the Ogrons is knocked unconscious, though, and the hypnosis machine's effects wear off, proving to the Draconians that the Ogrons were behind the whole plot to start a war with the humans. They try to take the Ogron to Earth as proof of the plot, but the Master intercepts them in space and tries to shoot them down. The Master's Ogrons board the Doctor's ship and rescue the captured Ogron, and they also manage to capture Joe.
Take the girl!
Jo is taken to the Master's base of operations on the 𝗃𝗀 homeworld, but she manages to escape from the Master's prison, this time using a spoon. Predictably, it doesn't go well though, and she gets recaptured by the Master, who tries to hypnotise her with the fear machine.
It works directly on the fear centers deep in your mind.
It's you! It's the Master! It doesn't work on me anymore!
But Jo manages to resist its effects. Fortunately, the Draconian's word is enough to convince the humans that they need to work together to find out the truth behind the attacks on their ships and to avoid an interstellar war. The humans and Draconians overcome their prejudices and fear of one another, and together with the Doctor, they all head to the 𝗃𝗀 homeworld.
A barren and uninteresting planet on the remote fringes of the galaxy.
Okay, it definitely looks barren, but I wouldn't say it was uninteresting, because there's a blobby meatball monster living there. And the Master's mysterious employers have also arrived.
Quite a touching little reunion.
They want the Earth and Draconian empires to destroy each other, so the Daleks can come in afterwards and take over the whole galaxy without any resistance.
Doctor, you are in our power and you will be exterminated.
Of course, the Master intends to betray the Daleks and seize power himself at some point.
Right, we'll see who rules the galaxy when this is over. Do not fail the Daleks indeed, you stupid tin boxes.
Jo manages to steal one of the 𝗃𝗀's hypnosis machines, and the Doctor uses it to escape from another jail cell by making the 𝗃𝗀 guard think that he's a Dalek, and this time the jailbreak actually works. The Draconians and humans who came with the Doctor head back to their ship to tell their empires what's really been going on and to prevent the war. The Doctor and Jo find the TARDIS which the Master had all along, but before they can leave, they are captured one last time by the Master and his 𝗃𝗀 guards. But the Doctor uses the hypnosis machine again, and the 𝗃𝗀s go crazy. The Master shoots the Doctor in the head, and then the Master runs away in the chaos. Jo drags the Doctor into the TARDIS, and the injured Doctor calls the Time Lords for help. The Time Lords send the TARDIS to the planet Spiridon. The Doctor tells Jo to record everything in a log, and then he falls unconscious and goes into a sort of frozen coma to heal himself.
But I've seen the Doctor in this condition once before, and he recovered after a sudden rise in temperature.
Jo doesn't understand why the Doctor's gone all frosty on her, so she heads out of the TARDIS to find help. Outside is a jungle, which contains squirty eye plants that splooge ink on you if you get too close. And the native Spiridons who live in the jungle are invisible. Jo finds a crashed spaceship where she meets several 𝗲𝗨s. We first met the 𝗲𝗨s all the way back in Season 1, and they come from the planet Skaro, the same planet as the Daleks. Whilst Jo's wandering around the jungle getting squirted at, the Doctor wakes up, but the TARDIS mysteriously runs out of oxygen. And the Doctor can't open the TARDIS doors to get out because the squirty plants have covered the TARDIS in crusty plant juice. I have no idea why the TARDIS runs out of oxygen at this particular moment, and I also have no idea why the Doctor feels he has to go and change his outfit whilst he's suffocating, although he does look good in that purple jacket. Fortunately, Jo has convinced her new 𝗲𝗨 friends to head to the TARDIS and dig out the Doctor.
You must know I was with the 𝗲𝗨 group when they broke into the Dalek city.
In our legend, there is a being. He had 3 companions with him.
Yes, Barbara, Ian, and Susan.
And their leader was called?
The Doctor.
Back in the 𝗲𝗨 spaceship, Jo's got problems of her own though, because the spray from the plants is actually a deadly fungus. But she's saved by one of the Spiridon natives, an invisible guy called Wester. The 𝗲𝗁s are here on Spiridon to stop the Daleks from learning the secret of invisibility from the Spiridons.
Daleks!
The Daleks find the 𝗲 ship and prepare to destroy it, and the Doctor thinks that Joe is still waiting inside, so he tries to stop them.
Wait! Wait! Somebody's still in there.
Save for interrogation. Disable.
But that goes about as well as you'd expect. And they destroy the ship anyway.
Proceed as ordered.
No! No!
Fire.
So the Doctor and a 𝗲 called 𝗀𝗃 both get captured by the Daleks. In the jungle, more 𝗲s crash land on the planet with new information.
Well, somewhere on this planet there are 10,000 Daleks.
It turns out there's not just a small team of Daleks researching invisibility. The Doctor and 𝗀𝗃 escape from their jail cell by modifying the log recorder that the Doctor gave to Joe and using it to deactivate a Dalek. And while they're trying to get out, everyone else is trying to get into the Dalek base to rescue them. Joe hides in a Spiridon slave's trolley, and then she sneaks into the Dalek control room. The 𝗲s sneak into the Dalek base through a network of secret passages. Now, the planet Spiridon is filled with an allotrope of ice, which means the ice can stay as a liquid, even though it's frozen. At least, I hope that's ice. This liquid ice, which I think is normally called water, can erupt from ice volcanoes on Spiridon, and an eruption starts whilst the 𝗲s are still in the Daleks' back passage. The Doctor saves the 𝗲s though by helping them out of the ventilation shaft just in time, and the ice comes out all over the Daleks' faces. To escape the Daleks' base, the Doctor builds a sort of parachute, and they all float up out of a hot air vent that apparently goes on for miles.
Any idea how far to the surface?
Miles, I should think.
The Daleks try to follow them.
Anti-gravitational disc in position.
But the Doctor and the 𝗲s reach the top first. The Daleks took a map from 𝗀𝗃 that leads them to the 𝗲s' hidden explosives, which they try to detonate. But Jo follows the Daleks to the bombs, and she defuses them. Well, she defuses most of them before she gets hit on the head with a random rock. She's okay though, and the bomb that she didn't defuse actually blows up a couple of passing Daleks. The Doctor and Jo conveniently bump into each other in the jungle, and they set up camp for the night with the 𝗲s, who use all their ammo scaring off unseen jungle creatures. In the morning, they take out some Daleks by pushing them into some icy water.
Are they dead?
Yes, the shock of the sudden cold must have killed them straight away.
Oh, so we can add cold water to the list of things that kills Daleks, I guess. The Daleks are planning to release a deadly bacteria on the planet's surface if the Doctor and the 𝗲s don't give themselves up.
If the aliens are not taken, the bacteria is to be released. Without immunity, no living thing can survive the disease. All will be exterminated.
Joe's invisible friend Wester sacrifices himself though by removing the cover off the bacteria prematurely before all the Daleks are immunised. A couple of immunised Daleks have to seal off the bacteria-filled room to save the other Daleks.
No one can enter. We can never leave here. Never.
Calm down, that's a bit dramatic. You're only stuck in there until you're ready to release the virus, which you were planning to do anyway. A new Dalek ship arrives in the jungle, carrying a member of the Daleks' Supreme Council, who wants to activate the Dalek army.
The Supreme Council has ordered our army to be activated immediately. The invasion of all solar planets is to begin today.
The Dalek army is currently hibernating in suspended animation, and the Doctor wants them to stay that way. So he and the 𝗲 sneak back into the Dalek base by disguising themselves as Spiridon slaves wearing purple furs and by climbing back down the air vent shaft. If that shaft is several miles long, they must have a lot of rope, not to mention upper body strength. The 𝗲s build possibly the worst barricade you've ever seen, but apparently it's enough to stop the Daleks. The Doctor plants the 𝗲 bombs in position to trigger the ice volcano. The ice-cano? The liquid ice flows out and freezes the entire Dalek army. The Doctor, Joe and the 𝗲s escape the Dalek base by climbing up a power ramp, whatever that is. We don't get to see it. Before they leave, one of the 𝗲s gets a bit flirty with Joe and asks her to go back to Skaro with him.
You see, I found a reason to be more careful. A reason for wanting to stay alive.
But she turns him down because she actually just wants to go home.
There's only one little world I want to see right now. That one.
That one? But Joe, that's Earth.
That's right, Doctor. Home.
Home it is, Miss Grant.
The Doctor and Joe head off in the TARDIS, which apparently now has oxygen again. And the 𝗲s escape the planet Spiridon in the Supreme Dalek's own spaceship.
Preparations will begin at once to free our army from the ice. We have been delayed, not defeated. The Daleks are never defeated.
The Doctor and Joe are back on Earth at unit headquarters, with Joe apparently wearing the 5th Doctor's outfit. But Joe wants to go to 𝗀𝗃𝗀𝘀 in Wales to join the protest against a new oil chemical plant.
Cheap petrol and lots of it, exactly what the world needs.
No! No! Look, it's time to call a halt. It's time that the world awoke to the alarm bell of pollution.
The Brigadier also wants to go to 𝗀𝗃𝗀𝘀 because there have been reports of miners dying under mysterious circumstances. Mysterious green circumstances. But the Doctor wants to go to 𝗃𝗏𝗄𝗃 3.
I'm going to 𝗃𝗏𝗄𝗃 3.
Wouldn't like to have to order you, Doctor.
I wouldn't advise you to try.
So the Brigadier and Joe head off to Wales, and the Doctor heads to 𝗃𝗏𝗄𝗃 3, which is not as nice as he expected. When he gets back, he joins the Brigadier and Joe in Wales. Which is just as well, really, because Joe has gotten herself stuck down a mine shaft, and the mine is full of green slime that kills you if you touch it. And the green slime has caused maggots in the mine to grow and mutate, and if the maggots bite you, you obviously turn green and die. The Doctor rescues Joe and turns his attention to Global Chemicals, the nearby oil company that's been pumping the toxic green waste down the mine.
Coal is a dying industry. Oil is our future now, and the government agrees with me.
The guards at Global Chemicals aren't very friendly.
Bit old to play games, ain't we?
I'm quite spry for my age, actually.
Hi!
𝗃𝗏𝗄𝗃 𝗪𝗃, gentlemen. I do hope I haven't hurt you.
And the company's director, a man called Stevens, is brainwashing his staff. Stevens isn't actually in charge of Global Chemicals, though.
Stevens?
Yes?
The company is really being run by a computer called Boss.
I am the boss. I'm all around you. Exactly. I am the computer.
Boss is, of course, an acronym.
I am the first bimorphic organizational systems supervisor.
BOSS. The boss.
Precisely.
Ha!
The boss is somehow linked to Stephen's brain.
I programmed Stevens to program me. I am the greatest being this planet has ever seen.
Hail and perfect more of the world, eh?
How well you understand me, Doctor.
Boss doesn't care about silly little things like pollution or saving human lives. All Boss cares about is efficiency and profit for global chemicals. And it also wants to take over the world.
What's best for global chemicals is best for the world.
At a nearby hippie commune called Holwheel, Joe meets Professor Clifford Jones, who has been campaigning against environmental pollution from global chemicals.
I mean, let's face it. Who does like the petrol stinking plastic rat trap life we all live? No.
And when he's not protesting, Professor Jones is also researching a protein-rich fungus, which he hopes will replace meat products to create a more sustainable future for humanity. The government, of course, orders the Brigadier to blow up the mines to stop the giant maggots from getting out.
We'll see no more of those creepy crawlies, you mark my words.
But obviously it doesn't work because, predictably, the maggots do in fact get out of the mine. Captain Yates goes undercover inside Global Chemicals as a government official, and the Doctor sneaks in by disguising himself as a milkman.
There's life in the old dog yet.
And a cleaning lady.
Oh, what's horrible? Oh, lovely.
The boss tries to brainwash the Doctor, but it doesn't work on him, and the Doctor escapes with Yates's help. But Yates's cover is blown, and he gets brainwashed into attacking the Doctor. But the Doctor uses a blue crystal that he picked up from 𝗵𝗫 to unbrainwash him. Well, that was super lucky that the Doctor just happened to get the exact thing he needed from 𝗵𝗫, eh? What a coincidence. Professor Jones starts looking for a cure for the Green Death virus, but he does get a bit distracted by Joe.
You've been thankful enough sometimes, Doctor. Professor Jones, just come to say goodnight.
And then she ends up ruining his experiment by knocking over his protein fungus food.
Ow! Oh, Cliff, you clumsy young goat, you've ruined the lot.
The maggot situation is getting out of control now, so the Brigadier tries to kill them the old-fashioned way. In a display of unprecedented stupidity, Jo tries to capture a maggot to help the Professor's research, but she just ends up getting herself and Professor Jones blown up a bit. And then Professor Jones gets bitten by a maggot. Thanks to the Professor's research and Joe's accident in the lab earlier, the Doctor is able to find the cure for the Green Death maggot virus.
What killed it?
Could it have been something it ate?
That's it. The fungus.
Yes. This could be exactly what we need.
The Doctor and Sergeant Benton feed the fungus to the maggots, which kills them all. But one of the maggots has hatched into a giant fly. With the giant maggot and the giant fly situation dealt with, the Doctor just has to shut down the boss computer that caused the problem in the first place. But Boss is about to activate the total processing of all his staff, which means he's going to remotely brainwash everyone at Global Chemicals so they will all follow his instructions without question. Fortunately, when the mass brainwashing starts, all the security guards at Global Chemicals freeze in place, and the Doctor is able to get into Boss's control room. The Doctor uses his 𝗵𝗫 crystal to deprogram Stevens.
Doctor, help me.
And Stevens cross-feeds Boss's generator circuitry, which of course causes the whole installation to explode. which presumably kills Stevens and all the other staff still inside, but the Doctor gets out just in time. At a celebratory dinner that evening, Professor Jones asks Joe to travel with him up the Amazon to find a rare fungus.
And you see, Cliff is going on this expedition to look for this fantastic fungus.
Where?
The upper reaches of the Amazon.
And he's asked me to go with him.
You want to go?
More than anything else in the world.
And he proposes to her.
You didn't say anything about getting married.
Didn't I? I'm sorry, love. You will, of course.
Yes, of course I will.
Oh, right. Oh, well.
Yeah! God, life's good, isn't it?
Joe accepts, and everyone celebrates their engagement.
They are jolly good fellows.
Well, nearly everyone.